Hello there, dear viewer. Criterion very recently made some announcements for their releases next year in February, and there's quite a lot to talk about here. Some exciting stuff, although for me, not the most exciting month for a few various reasons, which I'm sure I'll get into. Before I get into talking about the announcements, I hope you're all having a good Criterion month because we have the Barnes & Noble sale on, and there is a sale in the UK as well on Criterion titles. So I'm seeing lots and lots of videos and photos being posted on the internet about what people are buying during the sale. So it's an exciting time to be sharing recommendations and things like that. Anyway, let's get on to talking about the announcements. The first one I want to talk about is Punch Drunk Love. This is the Paul Thomas Anderson film starring Adam Sandler and Emily Watson, and this is getting a 4K upgrade. If you haven't seen the film, it's a beautiful love story about this guy who struggles with his own emotions, his anger, and it is funny, but it is also very touching and is beautifully directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. The film has previously had a Blu-ray release from Criterion, both in the UK and in the US, so it's getting a 4K upgrade from this. And this isn't the first time that the film has actually had a 4K release, because it also had a 4K in the Columbia Classics Volume 4 set. And as far as I'm aware, the Criterion 4K presentation will be exactly the same as the one you find on this disc. So if you're someone like me who has the Columbia disc and you have the old Criterion Blu-ray, there really is no need to upgrade to the new Criterion whatsoever, because you have all of the Criterion special features here, and then you have the presentation of the film itself. So that's the reason why I can't be too excited about Punch Drunk Love getting a 4K upgrade from Criterion, but I admit that is rather selfish because I'm only thinking about myself in that regard. For many people who haven't got the Columbia Classics set, because it is very expensive, and if you just want one film in the set, then it totally isn't worth buying, then for those people, this is a great time to get the film on 4K. Now, I do hope that this is perhaps a sign that we will see more Paul Thomas Anderson films come to the Criterion collection on the 4K format, because I would love There Will Be Blood and The Master and Boogie Nights and Magnolia, etc., because we only have Punch Drunk Love and Phantom Thread on the 4K format. So hopefully we see a few more of his films come to 4K very soon. Next, we have another 4K upgrade coming in the form of Guillermo del Toro's Cronos. This was his feature film debut, and it has already had a Blu-ray from Criterion, and it was in the Guillermo del Toro box set that they released, which is now out of print. But it is getting a 4K upgrade, which is very exciting. Even though this was del Toro's first feature film, it very much has his own voice almost crystallized in this film. We see a lot of what he would go on to do in further films in terms of his sense of the gothic and horror that he would bring to his filmmaking. So I think it's an excellent film, which I'm very excited for it getting a 4K upgrade, although it is also getting a 4K disc from BFI here in the UK. And this has been a bit of a trend lately, because BFI have also released the Kurosawa films that Criterion are upgrading to 4K. So again, for me, this particular 4K announcement from Criterion isn't really doing much for me, because I know I have that BFI release closer to home, and I'm sure the picture will look very similar, and in fact BFI's compression might even be better than Criterion's. Next up, coming to 4K, we have the brilliant film Performance, directed by Nicholas Roeg and Donald Cammell, starring the one and only Mick Jagger and James Fox in this Persona-esque tale set in 1960s swinging London. And it's very much looking at the nature of identity and character and how these can change and morph into something else. It's a brilliant film, which is a bit mind-bending, but also visually just tantalising. Performance was Nicholas Roeg's feature film debut as a director. He'd worked in cinematography before this, but this was really his first chance in the directing chair, although he was a co-directing job. But in this film you get to see a lot of what he would go on to explore in his filmography after Performance. It's an excellent film, and I can't wait to see what the 4K presentation looks like. I have it on Blu-ray on the old Warner Archive release, so I'm expecting this to be a bit of an improvement, and yeah, It's a fun film, so can't wait to rewatch. We also have the film Drugstore Cowboy coming to the 4K format from Criterion. This is directed by Gus Van Sant, starring Matt Dillon, and this is a film I've never seen. And I don't even know too much about this film. It's one of those ones that I've seen on so many lists of people's favourite movies, and perhaps this is one of those that people will look at me and go, how have you not seen this film? So I'm sure I'm in for a great many surprises when I'm watching this film, because I've heard so many people talk so highly about it. I don't actually even know the current status of how available this film is on Blu-ray. I don't think it's ever had a Blu-ray release here in the UK. That might even imply that it's available to release in the UK from Criterion, so hopefully we see it get a release over here, and if so, I will be getting that on release. Another 4K release we have coming is Crossing Delancey from director Joan Micklin-Silver. Again, I haven't seen this film, so I can't really provide you much recommendation to go and get this one. However, I'm very much intrigued by this one. I've loved what I have seen from the director previously, and just looking at some reviews for this film on Letterboxd, again, it seems like people are very excited about this film and hold it in very high regard. So because I can't say anything of value about this film because I've not seen it, please do let me know in a comment below if you particularly like this film or Drugstore Cowboy and why you would recommend it to someone to watch, because your recommendations in the comments of my videos always get me so excited to watch these titles that I previously haven't seen. And then rounding out the month of February, we have the single non-4K release. It is the film King Lear from Jean-Luc Godard, and this is from his 1980s period, which I've not seen King Lear, so again, another surprise for me to watch when this does get a release. But I've heard it's pretty out there, pretty crazy, and to be honest with you, Godard's later period is something that doesn't really thrill me all that much. I find it quite difficult and challenging, and not in the good kind of way. So I'm very much going to give this one a go, but I don't know what to expect, quite frankly. So if you have any clue about this film, if you've seen it, have any thoughts, then do send them over to me. It says that this is from a new 2K digital restoration, which is great to hear, because I think the film has been quite hard to see. That's the main reason I haven't seen it, is because it hasn't previously had a Blu-ray, or even on DVD. This might have not had a DVD release over here at least. So I'm excited to give it a shot, although with that note that I'm not the biggest fan of Godard's later filmography. So those were just my quick thoughts on Criterion's latest announcements for February next year. Admittedly, half of these films I hadn't seen before, so I couldn't provide too much value, but please do go over to Criterion's website to find out more information about the releases upcoming. If you'd like some Criterion recommendations from me, then just click the video that's presented on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.